Zel boy army, welcome to another spicy one on the channel. In today's video we are looking at passing techniques that are going to change your game, help you score more goals, and maybe some ones that you didn't know as much about before. The first place to start with passing though is the stats, the type of stats you want, how the passing stats work, and how they're going to play in game. If you like these type of videos where I teach you how to get better at the game, gameplay tips, tutorials, subscribe to the channel every day. Spicy new videos helping you guys get better at FIFA. This is the place to be. So we're going to go through each player and look at the passing stats. Not each player is in like each individual player's team, but each like kind of position. And then I'm going to go into some in-game clips and actually show you some different passing techniques that I use to score that can change your game that you might not have known about before. Keeper, it does not really matter that much. The kicking stat tends to affect it, and then weak foot. I would not be too worried about your keeper. Centre-back. I like at least a 3-star weak foot. I would use a centre-back with a 2-star weak foot if he was cracked in other areas, but 3 stars nice because it means that they're not really going to be too much of a liability on either foot. You generally, with centre-backs, going to be playing pretty limited, not risky football. The passing stats, by the way, we'll go through the stats. Vision is through balls. Crossing is literal just the crossing one, which you don't need for defenders. Free kick accuracy, irrelevant for the general passing. Short pass, passes under, like, I'd say 15 metres, 15 yards or so. Short passing for centre-backs, you probably want at least 75. 80 plus is really nice at this point of the game. Long pass is passes over like 15 yards using the square button on PlayStation to play over the distance. Long passing, you don't really notice as much because everyone can switch it fine. And then curve, especially for through balls, I'd say, is how much curve they can literally just put on the pass. The better players who have higher curve can go for crazier passes, basically. For fullbacks and centre-backs, it's fairly similar. I'd say for fullbacks, the curve and vision stat matters a bit more for down the line through balls. For centre-backs, just short passes the main one. For midfielders, you want... I mean, the main ones that matter for me are vision, short pass, and long pass. And then curve's nice for the really creative players who you want to go for more spicy passes with. Mostovoy has really good vision and curve, so he can go for nice passes. For strikers, you don't really need much more than short pass and vision. You don't have to curve many passes with them. But those are the main type of stats I would want. Ousmane Dembele is a beast, but some people put passing on because his passing's a bit woeful. You don't really notice long passing stat. The short passing stat is probably the most important one that will become most noticeable over again. Let's actually get into game though and show you some clips of some different passing techniques that I use to break down my opponent. With passing, there's quite a few different techniques you can do on FIFA, just in terms of the button varieties and options, all the way from through balls to short passes to long passes in the air to crosses. In this video, I'm going to talk you through quite a few. But there's also another thing I want you to think about. It's not just the passes in terms of, do I press X to pass? Do I double press tap X? Do I press triangle? It's also the timing of the passes and the gaps you're playing them into. Another thing I didn't mention in the attributes section was weak foot. Weak foot is a big say on passing, and passes not on weak foots are very bad in general. Here though, look at this. The timing of the pass here is key because you can see here that there's a big gap. I'll get my pen software up here to draw. You can pass there and it's got a lot more chance of getting through. And then here, when Ginola gets it here, I want him, when he passes, to run. This is something a lot of people don't actually know about, and it's a really good way of making more chances. It's doing a 1-2 pass. And to do that, you press L1 plus X at the same time. This is PlayStation controls. So when I press L1 and hold X at the same time, do that pass, Ginola now, you can see, makes his run. Ginola there, you can see he's pointing forwards. It's because he's making a run straight away. It's the 1-2 pass. So I go straight back to him. And from here, if I do a normal pass on the floor, there's a good chance he just sticks his foot out. If the defenders are somewhat in the way, I always do a double tap pass. That is pressing X twice. You can do this on through balls as well, double tap triangle. Here though, because I want to just go straight to his feet, there's not much space to go in behind, and I don't want to go like there, I just double tap X and watch what happens. Lifts it off the ground, and it is a very easy goal in the end. Let's watch it back a little bit. You can see there, if I just do a normal pass like I say, he's just going to stick his foot out, as they always do. The double tap, you can see there, just lifts it off the ground that ever little bit. And defenders, for some reason, just don't deal with double taps well. Also, when I shoot, it's kind of a bit of a half volley, which seems to just give the shot more power, which is quite nice. But you can see in that clip, 1-2 passes by holding L1 when I press X. Don't do that on through balls because it'll just do a chip through ball. But you can do it on normal passes. And then double tap passes to disorientate defenders. And when the defenders are kind of covering it, it works really well. Here we use a variety of passing techniques to open up the opponent. You can see here, spreading the ball out. When I do this pass here, it's one of these where if I just do a normal pass, it's going to get intercepted. It's going to be a lot slower. So there, I hold R1 and press X to do a driven passes. A driven pass, R1 plus X, just basically has more power on it. So we'll watch that back in real time. So you can see the speed of it. See there, it just has a lot more zip on it. And driven passes are really accurate on this game. They have a lot more zip. They're a lot harder to defend. Defenders are really bad at just in general intercepting them. And it's a great way of moving the ball about quick, pulling men out of position to then catch them off guard. One thing I would say about driven passes is they're not accurate if you're not facing the right way. Most passes aren't, but they're even worse. And if you're doing them on weak foots, there's quite a lot of risk on them. But they're very good at doing passes where you want to move the ball quick, or if you do a normal pass, it might not have enough pace to get there. I wouldn't do driven passes like if I'm here passing there. Generally speaking, there you can just do a normal pass, but they're good over like probably that distance or further. They're pretty nice for. See here, I want to move the ball quickly to Zidane. If I just do a normal pass, by the time it gets there, he won't intercept it, but he'll get a lot closer. So there, it moves the ball quick. And now I have an option. I've got Eusebio here making a really nice run. If I do a normal through ball here, all that's going to happen is I'm going to be putting it along there to curve it, but Frankie's just going to put his foot out. But when I do a double tap through ball and it opens it up. Watch that again. Again, this is one of those passes. Through balls rely a lot more on stats. The more complicated, risky through balls like this are a lot harder to do unless you have really good passes. Zidane's obviously one of the best of them. But here, if I just do a normal through ball, a driven pass, it's probably just going to go like that, and Frankie's going to intercept it. So this is where I see the gap, I do a double tap through ball to mark the run, up to beat Frankie and match the run of Eusebio. And from there, it curves the pass. Double taps also seem to weight better. The weight on them just seems to be better. And it's very hard to defend, and it leads to a nice goal. So you can see driven passes to move the ball about quick, catch my opponent off guard, driven pass again, double tap through ball when the opening's there, and it's a nice easy goal. So double tap through ball, just to clarify again, triangle plus triangle. The last one here I'm going to teach you about is probably the most broken on the game in terms of it's just crazy. So let's watch this. So here, my opponent dives in. You can see Frankie making a run up here. It's a pretty risky through ball. Maybe if it had been 0-0, I might not have even tried. But I see the chance here, and I go for what's a double tap trip through ball. And when I say a double tap, basically, it's been a thing on last FIFA and this one. If you do a chip through ball, and there's someone in a reasonable area, especially if you pass as good, so like a Zidane again, you don't need great pass, though it still works quite well. If you do a chip through ball, and then just before you're about to play the pass, you press triangle again, it just seems to weight the pass perfectly. I don't know why, but it just does. So this is L1 triangle to do the through ball. You do the power, and then just as I'm about to press to let go of the ball, I press pass again. So L1 triangle, then triangle again. You double tap it, but you have to make sure you're holding L1. And see the weight on that pass is just perfect. Here, there's literally no other way I'm getting this to work. I could have just done a chip through ball myself, L1 triangle, but then the power on chip through balls is manual. But for some reason, when you double tap it on a chip through ball, it just seems to do the power a lot better. Test it yourself if you don't believe me, but it's OP, and it led to a goal there that really would have been very hard to manually time the power on that pass properly. There's lots of new techniques for you guys. Double tap through balls on the ground, double tap short passes, driven passes, timing of passes, the double tap chip through ball. And the last thing I want to talk about is pass accuracy. This isn't necessarily about the different passing techniques you use. It's just about making sure you're not forcing the ball, giving it away cheap. I always say this to people, it's a quick way to improve. If you have 95% passing, you are giving the ball away 1 in 20 passes. If you have 90 passing accuracy, you're giving the ball away 1 in 10. That's double the amount of times you're giving the ball away. If you have 80% passing accuracy, you are giving the ball away 1 in 5 passes. That is 4 times more than 95%. It adds up. If your opponent doesn't have the ball, they can't score. If you have the ball, you've got a much bigger chance of scoring. I hope this video has helped you guys. You can see there my pass accuracy, 93%. Makes it very hard for my opponent to get the ball off me as well. But hopefully this video has helped you. I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know if you learned something new. And as always, keep it spicy.